Hello, Andy.
Good morning, Carly.
How are things?
They're going well. How about yourself? See, you've got
Uh,
the holiday spirit in full swing there.
yeah, leftover from the all members meeting yesterday.
Okay.
View details. There's my host key. Okay, I'm just gonna claim host for a second. Hello everyone. Welcome to Ecosystem and Governance Working Group. We're starting again with the last meeting of the year. Shoot. Yes, okay, I am sharing the right one. Sorry. Last meeting of the year. We have Andy Woodruff is going to be presenting. But first, we have our antitrust policy that we are reminded to adhere to the meeting agenda, not participate in activities prohibited under antitrust competition laws, and members will have signed the necessary agreements to participate beyond an observer role. And I believe everybody here is member and has signed the documents. This is out of date. Verana has finished, but the Digital Governance Council of Canada, we just have confirmation they will be presenting in 2026, January 22nd. So we'll have the CEO of the Digital Governance Council talking about Canadian digital governance and our role, especially with the EU.
So
And yep,
Verana is in on the 19th
who?
the 19th of February, Verana, right?
Sorry. And that's 2026. Yes, I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, so we've got two scheduled for next
Next year
week.
already. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. For the task force updates, Bite-Sized Trust, we continue to work ahead. If you were at the symposium, I believe you saw them on repeat. And the if you have other ideas for content, of course, please drop them in the chat. For example, the Bite Size Trust channel, especially if you're thinking, gosh, I really wish that the community was aware of this challenge or something like that. And then Bite Size Trust, we can work on content for that. So Andy, we have all,
Should
yep.
we, we've just maybe 1 minute. Usually this at the last meeting of the year, we talk about
Ah,
next year and we haven't really done that. But if, do we need to shift gears? Do we need to shift our focus? Do we need to continue doing these presentations, which everybody seems to find very interesting and helpful, and they're good to produce content so that they can live on and on in the on the Linux
And
YouTube page.
also welcoming anyone who wants to be a chair.
And also anyone who wants to be a chair. Yeah. We're open to co-chair positions,
Yep.
lead chair. But yeah, is there anything we want to focus on next year special that would help the different working groups, that would help the industry move forward? Um, just connect by email, put it in the chat on what's that thing we're using called Discord. You can
Discord.
connect on Discord if you've got anything you want to propose. Please do. That's it.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely looking for feedback on if you think what we've been doing is good or if you have recommendations for change or any outputs that we could make. Um,
Well,
yes.
one thing that I was thinking that we try to bring in uh, presenters who talk about ecosystems and governance, et cetera. But I think that this could also be the channel for anything that is, we have AI working group,
Mhm.
but we don't really want to use up those working group meetings to have presenters because there's, good work doing on. But maybe those kind of presentations can also come into this channel and use this time slot because as long as it talks about trust and enabling trust via some of these new technologies, I think it could fit in, even if it's a little bit outside of the ecosystem and governance scope.
I think that's a great idea, and I would love to see those presentations. And we're always looking for recommendations from people. If you would like to connect with us because you have a name, then we can reach out and we have a form to fill out. So then we get the information and then we can advertise it on the channels and it'll appear on the YouTube channel at the end for further sharing.
On the AI trust governance kind of side thing there, Eric. We can talk after this, but connect you with Tony Rose, who you guys probably know. But we've just also been working on as a part of all of what I'm doing here, but also they're heavily into AI agents and other things on the Next Artist side, and building trust into that. They've got several connections. They're working with Nanda and some other groups working to build in some tech there. So I think there's since you brought it up, I was like, wow, I actually was looking at a presentation in a white paper recently, that's in draft on some similar topics. So we can connect, later after this, and I'll loop Tony in.
That'd be great.
And see what they've got or willing to present. Here soon. So,
and also related to this, the Linux Foundation has just opened up. Well, you saw the news that the was it MCP has been donated to the Linux Foundation, and they have spun up an AI and Trust working group, and that might be of interest to this community, because the interconnections between Trust and the AI group. So yeah, there's definitely opportunities there. With that, then. I'd like to welcome our speaker, Andy Woodruff, who has been a member of Trust Over IP for multiple years, with the Human Experience Working Group, for example. But today he's going to be talking to us about using SSI to champion creator-governed content with OCME. So looking forward to your presentation, Andy, and I'll let you take over the sharing.
All right. Yep, okay. There we go. And share. And all right, you should be able to see my screen. All right. We are good to go then. So, let's see. Good morning, everyone, and good evening. I'm Andy Woodruff, the Executive Director of the Open Commercial Media Ecosystem, or OCME. Before we start, I just have a quick disclaimer here that this is a 30-minute presentation, and I could not fit everything in full detail. Some of the individual slides that I have could be an entire presentation on their own. So there will be a QR code at the end. And if you scan that, we can connect and talk more. Here at the beginning, I want to set the groundwork, providing a quick overview of the OCME and creator-governed content. But ultimately, the main focus of this presentation is on our ecosystem structure and our governance structure. I want to not only inform you about what we are doing, but also gather your questions and feedback so we can refine our work. The Open Commercial Media Ecosystem is a nonprofit, members-based organization founded in 2024 to restructure how digital content is valued, shared, and monetized. We want to return to a community-led space where creating, collaborating, and sharing your art is in your control. An era of creator-governed content to reach a global audience to define how digital media is controlled and consumed. The global creator market size is estimated at $205 billion in 2024 and projected to reach $1.3 trillion by 2033. Yet, the fundamental relationship between creators and platforms remains broken. Platforms exercise unilateral control over monetization, content policies, and account access. Platforms create lock-in through network effects and winner-take-all dynamics, extracting data as the new resource. While the creator economy displaced traditional gatekeepers like record labels, publishers, and studios, platforms have inherited the same power dynamic. Control over creator identity means control over creator economics. Working within these existing platforms and ecosystems is an incredibly daunting challenge that requires incredible financing and powerful connections. Self-sovereign identity, blockchain, and AI have changed the equation. These three technologies eliminate traditional cost centers, dramatically reducing the financing and powerful connections needed to build outside the existing system so that more value flows directly to the creators. We're making the fundamental shift from user-generated content to creator-governed content. So let me explain the difference. With user-generated content, the platform owns your identity. The platform controls the policies, which will change at any time without your input. The platform sets the revenue rates, and in this model, you're dealing with shareholders. The platform is looking out for them, not the creators or the subscribers. In contrast, with creator-governed content, the user controls their identity. The users control policies as voting members of the governance structure. Users set revenue rates through democratic processes, and critically, you're dealing with stakeholders. Those involved in the value creation get a say. This isn't just a change in terminology, it's a fundamental restructuring of the power dynamics. In UGC, you're subject to platform decisions. In CGC, you participate in making those decisions. The transition from shareholder to stakeholder means moving from passive participant to active governor. This quote on self-sovereign identity captures the philosophical foundation. A person's identity that is neither dependent on nor subject to any other power or state. Today, most of the progress I see comes dictated from governments or large corporations. Government-mandated identification can be compatible with SSI infrastructure, but OCME's bottom-up approach embraces the full philosophy. Identity that individuals control because they choose to, not because they're required to. An individual can join OCME of their own free will, with the goal of receiving more value by being part of the ecosystem than being outside of it. There's no government mandate, no employer requirement. Members join because they want to be a part of the ecosystem. This philosophical commitment shapes everything about how we've built the system. Now let's take a look at the technical elegance that makes this possible. We have efficiency through technology convergence. Starting with SSI, every creator gets a DID. Every piece of content gets a DID. Every playlist, every split sheet, and play record gets a DID. All of these are cryptographically linked, giving us independently verifiable attribution. This verifiability means we can eliminate the need for expensive teams of accountants and lawyers who just extract value away from the creator. Then we layer on blockchain payments via USDC stablecoins for global payments. Traditional rails charge 2 to 4% per transaction, with stablecoins, pennies. For a creator earning $10,000 a month, that difference means keeping an extra $5,000 a year that would otherwise vanish to Stripe or PayPal. With AI handling the heavy lifting, we keep headcount low across the board, not just at OCME, but with Next Artists and our other partners. With less money flowing to overhead, more value flows from advertisers and subscribers directly to creators. Only the minimum viable amount of value extraction occurs along the way, and critically, ecosystem participants vote on what that minimum is. Here's where we're at today. Our trust registry is live with 600 members who have registered over 6,500 pieces of content. I think this morning when I checked, it was about 6,900. So it's gone up since I wrote this a couple days ago. This is real. it's operating, and the growth has been remarkable. Back in October of 2024, we had 12,000 views for the month. Our Halloween special peaked at 4,000 views in a single weekend, which felt significant at the time. 1 year later, in October of 2025, we hit 5.1 million views for the month. That's a 42,000% year-over-year growth. We had 8 consecutive weeks exceeding 1 million views this fall. While November fell slightly short of our viewership projections due to some weak viewership around Thanksgiving, our trajectory remains strong. We went from 12,000 views in a month to routinely exceeding 1 million views per week. This is a bottom-up adoption at scale. Individual creators join because they see value, not because they're required to. And critically for this audience, it's built on the full trust over IP stack. Now we'll dive into how the ecosystem is structured to deliver on this growth. The OCME is one nonprofit members-based ecosystem with multiple colonies or content verticals. We built one internal structure to support a wide variety of digital content rather than multiple ecosystems with external bridges. At the center, you have the OCME as a neutral facilitator. We provide the trust layer, manage governance, and coordinate the ecosystem. We don't curate content, we don't build technology, and we don't compete with participants. This structure supports multiple content verticals, or colonies as we call them. Each colony may have different technical requirements, different content standards, and different distribution models, but they all operate within the same unified framework, leveraging the same identity system, the same trust layer, and the same top-level governance principles. Each colony has its own curators who license and distribute content, as well as their own technology providers who build domain-specific tools. But a creator joins the OCME once, they get one DID, and can participate across any colony without managing multiple identities or credentials. Over the next several slides, I'll walk through each component, the 4 key roles, how the value flows between them, what colonies actually are, and how governance coordinates it all. The ecosystem has 4 distinct participants, each with defined revenue shares. Creators are the foundation. They receive 60% of revenue. They create the content, music videos, news, gaming, or films, and retain ownership and control through their DIDs. Without creators, there is no ecosystem. Importantly, this 60% is of gross revenue, or top line. Platforms like YouTube and Spotify pay out in net revenue. So where YouTube looks like they're close by paying out 55% of revenue, it's of net, so our portion is noticeably higher. With the OCME, creators know exactly what percentage of every dollar flows to them. Curators license content from the registry, building audiences across distribution channels and generating revenue. For their work, they receive 17.5% of gross revenue. Today, AI Music Video Show is our founding curator, but other curators are welcome and encouraged. AI Music Video Show is also available 24/7 with their live stream, and they also stream on X on the weekends. So with different curators, they could target different markets, different niche content. With AI Music Video Show, most of our creators are leveraging the new AI video and music generation tools, but very easily we could have different genres or different regional niches that spur up. And we would love to have curators working across different regions to share all the great content. Technology providers receive 17.5% for building the infrastructure. Next Artists, for example, built the OCME Media Registry, the DID systems, and creator tools, all under a software licensing agreement with the OCME. They're an independent business, and the ecosystem is designed to support multiple technology providers. Some of the creator tools that NextArtist has provided is our 24/7 live streaming technology, such that if a curator wanted to join the ecosystem but didn't have the technology themselves to broadcast to where they wanted to, we have NextArtist. They can leverage that technology for that. Let's see. So I just saw that Neil posted a link in the chat. If you drop the dev from the front of that and just go to ocmeco.org, that's our website. And yes, so the final role here is the OCME, and they receive 5% as the neutral facilitator. We provide standards and a place to discuss governance. We operate membership services and treasury services. And as a critical point, we do not curate content, we do not build technology, and we do not compete with participants. We enable others to thrive. Each role is independent, but coordinated through the governance framework. So here's a quick look at how the value can flow through the system. Coordinated by our did web vh did schema. So first we have create. A creator uploads content using tools built by technology providers. Their creator did is added to their content did. So they upload a piece of content. It gets an identifier. We also reference in that piece of content its media dids as well as split sheets, and everything is cryptographically linked from the start. A split sheet is the piece of information that holds who gets paid and how much they get paid for whenever this piece of content gets created. So if I was the only artist on the piece of content, then it would just 100% would go to me. But say Daryl and I did a collaboration and we want to split it 50-50. Whenever our piece of content makes $1, our system will automatically be able to assign 50 cents to me and 50 cents to Daryl. Our curate step. Curators discover content in the registry. So after a piece of content has been uploaded, curators will have access to that. They can find it in our registry. From there, they create a playlist did, which contains all of the pieces of content, but specifically their content dids. And that way the contents are linked to what gets played and critically linked back to the original creator. For streaming, when playlists are streamed to audiences, a play record did tracks every streaming event, referencing both the playlist and the curator, creating an immutable record. For aggregation, at its settlement, we aggregate all the play records to calculate total play minutes per creator and curator. With this system, we're then able to bundle it all up and cryptographically validate it all, and then process the payments based on those splits. So in distribute, we distribute the revenue receipt dids to collect income for the period. Payment record dids are distributed to creators and curators based on actual playtime. And everything is transparent, verifiable, and there's no platform middleman taking 30% off the top. Several of these pieces are still in the works. We are live today, but several of our verification tools, like the play records and revenue receipts, we are still building out, and we'll be able to hash blocks of play records and save them publicly So that way any creator or anyone can verify that the revenue that flowed into the ecosystem was paid out in full to the people that it was supposed to be paid out to. Part of this is solving a critical problem in the record label industry, where about $1 billion a year flows into black box funds. Basically, this is a fund that the record labels don't know who to pay, or it goes unclaimed. And so the record labels just get to keep the money for themselves. With this system, since the moment something comes in, it gets an identifier and everything gets linked. When we go to pay people, there will not be content who we do not know how to pay or who it belongs to. Creators could choose not to get paid, but then that's a choice that they're making, rather than, as part of our ecosystem, not knowing who that money belongs to. This DID schema also makes automation possible, where we're able to verify attribution through every phase and then automate this process with very high confidence. Colonies are content verticals within the OCME. Music videos, gaming, news media, and future verticals we may add. They're not separate ecosystems. They're domain-specific verticals within one unified ecosystem. The architecture is straightforward. A creator joins the OCME once and gets one DID. That identity works across every colony. Music videos, gaming, and news, the same identity, the same credentials, the same reputation. All colonies share the same trust layer, the same governance framework, and the same identity system. Each colony can have different technical requirements, different content standards, and different business models. Gaming will have different needs for their infrastructure than news media will. News will have different verification requirements than music videos. Colonies handle that domain-specific complexity. This was a very interesting and kind of challenging thing to work through with how do we support a large variety of different pieces of content, especially with the way the media registry is set up, in that, as we described, kind of through the value flow, while we did describe streaming, that streaming could have been replaced with a verified download or a one-time purchase of a piece of content. And so we could support, like we do today, with MP4s and MOVs, but this could also support MP3s or ebooks or digital poetry, as we have a couple people interested in. And with that, how can we support those then on a technical and trust layer inside of our governance framework and ecosystem, without needing to kind of reinvent the ecosystem and governance every single time a new community wants to join. Given our content vertical approach, we debated between a single ecosystem and an ecosystem of ecosystems approach. The ecosystem of ecosystems model, as described in the IRA white paper, is strictly heterarchical. It's a flat structure where multiple separate trust registries exist as peers. Credentials issued in one ecosystem can't be trusted in another without a transition layer and bridges. Creators manage multiple identities across different systems. While this model will be effective for many, it was not the right fit for the OCME and our vision. OCME takes a hierarchical approach. OCME sits at the top as the coordinating layer with colonies underneath. We're one ecosystem with a single unified trust layer. Our value flow and DID connections, as previously mentioned, whether the creator uploads a video, a game, or an ebook. They don't need an account for each type of content they want to create. Interoperability is built in because the colonies share the same foundation under OCME's coordination. The hierarchy approach model gives us coherent governance, one framework with colony-specific extensions rather than competing systems trying to align. It's simpler, more efficient, and better for creators who don't want to navigate the complexity across multiple ecosystems. It also translates well into how we've structured our governance. One thing that's been missing from all of these ecosystem slides is where governance actions tie into the ecosystem as a whole. This happens through our Industry Advisory Council structure. Today, we have one ecosystem OCME-wide IAC reviewing content, we have one IAC reviewing governance proposals. But as we expand to multiple colonies, we'll see the addition of colony-level IACs for handling domain-specific governance. The intention of each IAC is to have a balance of creators, curators, technology providers, and industry leaders. Their responsibility is to review proposals, maintain standards, and serve as stewards of the ecosystem. To be a member of the IAC, you must also be a member of the OCME. Governance actions are taken by stakeholders, not shareholders. The people participating in the ecosystem are the ones governing it. Gaming has different concerns than news media, different content standards, different technical requirements, and different business models. Colony IACs handle that domain-specific complexity, while the OCME level IAC maintains coherence across the entire ecosystem. So that's the ecosystem structure. It's modular. Colonies can have different tech stacks, different curators, and different content types, but it's unified through one trust layer, one governance framework, and one identity system for creators. The IAC structure coordinates universal principles at the OCME level while giving colonies autonomy for domain-specific decisions. This architecture is designed to scale horizontally as we add more content verticals without recreating the trust infrastructure each time. Now let's dive into the governance architecture, how the framework is structured, who controls what, and how we maintain coherence as the ecosystem scales. OCME's governance framework is built on the trust over IP governance meta model. We're implementing a proven standard, which gives us interoperability with other decentralized identity systems and means we're speaking the same language as this community. Most trust over IP meta model implementations that I'm aware of work within a mature ecosystem. They build that complete framework based on existing rules and existing stakeholders. We took an evolutionary approach, starting with a minimum viable ecosystem and growing as the ecosystem matures. This can kind of be seen with our singular technology provider and our singular curator today, with the intention of expanding through more partners. The meta model structure is probably familiar to this audience. Here's how we've translated it into concrete governance documents, and critically, who controls changes at each level. At level 1, we have the legal foundation. The OCME is a 501c6 nonprofit, and in order for us to make changes to this level of a charter, we would need approval from the board and federal/state filings are required. This is very stringent and unlikely to change and provides stability for ecosystem participants. At layer 2, we have the constitutional framework, which is the primary document, and in our case, the OCME primary document. In order for changes to be made to the primary document, we would need the OCME IAC approval as well as the board approval. One thing to note is that we will store our list of colonies inside of our primary document. And so in order to add or maintain colonies, this kind of goes to the board level of approval. The next layer down is our policy documents or controlled documents. Things that belong to a controlled document are any policies that impact members' rights, trust decisions, financial terms, legal obligations, or technical interoperability. In order for us to make changes at this level, we would need approval from the OCME IAC. In layer 4 here, this is where we get into the colony-specific governance, leveraging the trust over IP extensions model. So the trust over IP meta model allows for extensions of your initial framework. We will do this to support additional extensions per colony. And that's in those colony extension documents, that's where we would define how we define what is and is not the scope for each kind of colony, as well as providing those colony control documents around some of their different technical requirements and additional, any decisions that are kind of colony specific there. We would have, to make changes to those documents, we would have approval from the colony IAC, as well as a compliance review from the overall IAC. In the final layer here, we have our operational procedures or operational documents, which is outside of the scope of the trust over IP meta model. But this also includes things like SOPs, workflows, and implementation guides. And in order to make changes to these are set by the OCME operations team. Our minimum viable ecosystem right now basically just uses the first 3 layers. So the charter, a primary document, and some control documents. We are in the process of writing out what we call Governance Framework 1.0, and that is the full colony supported model with the colony language and structure put into place. For the documentation of this, we separated canonical governance from supporting materials using GitHub. Our initial implementation was in Google Docs. While this might have a lower barrier to entry for participants, we found we were not fond of Google Docs' cumbersome ability to track multiple proposed changes at the same time, or its visibility into who made what changes. Since moving to GitHub, everything is in Markdown or JSON and is tracked. The GitHub repository holds the actual governance documents. This gives us verifiable history of every change and who made it. We are also working with machine readable governance, which I think was noted kind of on the verifiable value flow slide of some governance that can get involved there. This is coming soon. We don't have this implemented yet, but this system will allow us to automate reading of different governance policies. So one example of this will be our revenue splits. So when a payment period is settled, the system will be able to read the splits from GitHub rather than relying on an admin to enter them manually or them being hard-coded into the software. This allows for us to have verifiability specifically when it comes to key parameters around the revenue splits and getting people paid. So the GitHub wiki holds everything else, our design decisions, implementation guides, and our roadmap. This keeps the official framework clean while providing rich context for anyone trying to understand the rationale behind our governance choices. We are actively in talks to bring in 2 additional colonies in the form of news and a gaming community. With this, over the next couple of months, we will need to finalize our governance framework and the colony extension model, as well as draft those colony extensions to support new members and new content verticals. That's the governance architecture. I've put together a link tree with all the resources. If you want to dive deeper, you can book some office hours with me, explore our GitHub governance repository, check out our website or Substack. And I am working on a white paper called The Power of the Did, linking how decentralized identity is required to support creator governed content. So that will be coming soon and posted on our Substack when that is released. I'd welcome any questions, critiques, or have you considered suggestions? So what questions do you have?
Uh, Thanks very much, Andy. That was a really interesting talk and quite a put together ecosystem. And it was nice to see the governance documentation and everything like that. If I can start it off with a
Yeah.
question. Um, so uh, there are some neat not so mainstream, like have you heard of Curiosity Stream or Nebula? So
Yes, I have.
yeah, so they are external places with content creators where it's a curated ecosystem, and it sounds like, for example, you've developed the Rails to help something like that spring up more efficiently. And perhaps that could be an approach. And I'm curious, in your ecosystem, there are often these legal issues to consider. For example, the removal of copyrighted material, dealing with child abuse, sexual abuse material that's on it and stuff like that. Within your governance framework, then who's the throat to choke for that, as it were?
Yes, so we have so I guess I'll take one step back to answer your question, but the Curiosity Stream and Nebula, that's not something I had thought of, and actually I believe that I have a at one point at least I had a subscription to them. I still might,
Yeah,
but that's I will definitely reach out to them and see because that would be a great partner. When it comes to content policing, if you will. Um, we do have a DMCA takedown form that is supported for those kinds of issues that arise. Um, and in terms of the other section for or the other comment for kind of child abuse or other forms of inappropriate content, um, we do have a set of guidelines for content standards
right.
as well that are if they're not in our framework today will be a part of the 1.0 kind of
Yeah.
release. And I think we'll have to have a few more conversations when we start to offer different distribution channels. Right now, with the curated stream, a creator when they upload a piece of content, it kind of just goes into the registry and doesn't go live to distribution, and that there is a human who is looking through the content, selecting, ooh, these videos are good. I'm going to sequence in this way to make a high quality show and
Yep.
then distribute that. So at the moment, we kind of still have that human touch.
Yeah.
And I think we'll, as when we start to look at video on demand and other kind of features like that open up the floodgates a little more, we'll
Yeah.
have to include some more features and filters in there. I know that Next Artist is working on some uh, copyright content kind of tools similar to what YouTube has. Um, so we've got some pieces kind of in the works there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like maybe a good opportunity to put that onto the vertical, that the specific vertical defines its governance of what its content would be and is responsible for, like the content that's on there. So Eric, question.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious in terms of marking content as owned by a particular user, the extent to which you might have looked at C2PA and or COG as ways to identify that if you see this as competing or collaborative or ignoring each other or where you're
Yeah,
aiming
I
for.
and I think I see Neil. Looks like Neil asked basically the same kind of question there, um, And yes, so C2PA is something I have looked at, and I would like to figure out kind of in our next phase how we can get something like that kind of wrapped in. Um, Next phase being post a lot of what was in this presentation, a couple of the little pieces, or the full automation stack is not 100% in place, and as soon as that is, looking to start adding more features in terms of creator kind of attribution and ownership. Right now, um, we are, it's kind of said, if you are uploading the content, then it is, we're saying you're the content owner of that. So we don't have like systems in place at the moment to kind of link to external pieces of content. And so what I mean with that is with our split sheet system, when a piece of content is uploaded, while I use an example of, say, my Daryl and myself collaborating on a piece of content, but if we remixed a song or a video that you made, Eric, we could say, okay, well, we cut a deal that, actually Eric's original piece of content gets 50% because we took that. And so we can start layering split sheets on top of each other, as well as looking into the rest of the C2PA kind of standard and stack. I'm obviously speaking to a couple of the experts here, but a couple of the features where with like the pop-up tooltips and other things. So like on our live stream, having somebody who's watching going, wow, I love this piece of content. Where can I go find out more about the song, the artist? Where can I go find more? Or how is this made? How much was AI, or not? At the moment, most of our creators and audience are heavily using AI, and so it's just kind of known that it's expected that most of it is. But as we get into news or other things, those kinds of questions are going to pop up, and being able to kind of use the C2PA standard to kind of like, hover over, get the little tooltip pop up, and be able to click it and then access, the creator's profile or the creator's website, or more information on the piece of content. And so there's a lot of features that several people are excited about from the linking to information side, but as well as then the trust side of things, of being able to verify that, hey, that's the actual creator of that piece, or or at least who uploaded it and stuff. So
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I also pointed out in the chat that DIDs have an also known as, so you could add equivalency statements within any identifier to go across ecosystems if you needed to.
okay.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions from anyone? So, yeah, this was a great talk, Andy. We'll be posting it up on the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust YouTube channel,
Okay.
and then make that link available for sharing if you would like. And with that, then we'll close the discussion and the meeting, and wish everyone happy holidays, and we'll see you back in January for our next ecosystem meeting on January the 8th. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.